Welcome, everybody, to the Tea with Ms McGill Show, fueled by Blue Line Brews, episode 33, coming at you just a second here. I am Puka, that is Reed Larson, and we start the show every week with a little talk about Blue Line Brews. We showed you the cool little K-Cups last week, so have you ordered your coffee yet, people? I mean, that's, Reed, you know it's going to get cold, right? 20 below on Saturday, so it's bluelinebrews.com. Go down to the show notes. Save 15 is the promo codes if you want to go that route. Like I said, you're going to want a hot cup of coffee this weekend on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. It's going to get cold. Snow all day today. So bluelinebrews.com, or if you're in Bemidji, the Iron Range, Twin Ports, northern Wisconsin, start looking for it at stores there. You can see the bag here. And then, like I said, the K-Cups come in a box like this. 10% of profits, as always, go to men and women who are injured or have fallen in the line of duty. So a really good cause. Hop over to their Facebook page. They got all kinds of info. You can give them a like, give them a share. Like I said, great company, great cause, and great coffee. So bluelinebrews.com, or check it out at a store near you. And thank you for everything you're doing, Blue Line Brews.
It doesn't have to be cold for me. It doesn't have to be cold for me to drink coffee. It could be 95 degrees outside, and I'd still be looking for some Blue Line Brews.
Really? And you drink them hot in the summer, or do you ice them?
Nope. Got to be hot.
Okay. So, yeah, I calmed down a little bit of coffee. I turn more to orange juice, it seems like, in the morning in the summer, but definitely in the winter, I need my cup of Joe in my Blue Line Brews mug, and then hop in the car. It's cold. If I got my hot coffee, keeps me rolling. So, busy week. A lot of hockey.
Yeah, we're on the cusp here of playoff hockey in the next week and a half. Teams are starting to wrap up the regular season, and actually this week is playoff week for the girls' high school teams. So our GRG Lightning are playing Duluth here right now at the IRA Civic Center in the first round of playoffs. So when that happens, that always means that boys' section tournaments are within a week and a half away. So ramping up. Last 2 regular season games, 2 to 3 regular season games for most teams in the state of Minnesota. And if you're looking at wanting to be at the big dance, you better be playing your best hockey right now.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about some hockey here. So the KST, it's a big game when it's the KSTP game of the week, which was held Tuesday night in Grand Rapids at the IRA. Andover paid a visit, and Rapids was ready to play, of course, after that disappointing loss last March, I guess it was, because the state tournament was in April. It must have been last March to go to the big dance. So let's just start there. Thoughts on that game?
I don't think that there's a Rapids hockey player in the community. There isn't a player that was on the bench last year that doesn't remember what happened. I think every player that plays in our organization from top to bottom remembers that game last year, and I think that went right into everybody's attitude. They're playing every game here the way through. It's going to start. It started with that game last Tuesday, like they are playing for a mission, and they wanted to prove a point on Tuesday night that trip is going to be theirs, and that's the way they want to start to frame it. Obviously, you're not going to win it to go to the state tournament on Tuesday, February 8th. You have to wait until March 3rd to go to the state tournament. So, but they wanted to send that message, and it was. I quite honestly, Puka, I've seen a lot of hockey in the last 20 years at the high school level. That could quite possibly be one of the best high school hockey games I've seen in 20 years. It was physical. It was fast paced. It was crisp. You had great hockey plays made. You had great saves made on both ends of the rink, and it ended in dramatic fashion. We'll talk about that in a second. But there was physical play. There was finished checks. There were power plays. There were penalty kills. There was a half of a line brawl that took place down in the corner underneath the old bandstand where there was a hit. It got avenged by a player from the other team. There were 5 guys in the corner tangled up. We do have a family show here. We don't promote fighting in hockey, but it was energized with some emotions from last year. And those guys paid the piper. They ended up sitting in the box. I think Rapids had 4 guys in the penalty box. Andover had 3 guys in the penalty box. They were all 2-minute penalties. There was no 5-minute majors assessed there. And the emotions continued. There were more bodies being thrown around the rink. There was some crafty play. Grand Rapids obviously came out on top. They scored a goal in the second period to go up 2-1. They hung on the entire third period until, like we said, dramatic fashion with 0 seconds left on the clock. Miles Gunderson in his crease is knocked back into the net. Our guys are protecting the puck. One of Rapids players is knocked on top of the puck. Naturally, when you fall on it, you're going to cover it, but it got covered in the crease. Penalty shot with 0 seconds left. Now, before that took place, Miles Gunderson legitimately had to make 3 huge saves with the goal he pulled on the other end. It's 6-on-5. They're coming at Rapids with all cylinders pumping. Miles makes 3 big saves. The puck is sitting in front. You see the clock tick down to 0. You see a Rapids player get knocked down, and he's on top of the puck. The Zelke father-son duo was reffing the game. Troy Scott was linesman. They made the call. The building was excited to see the finale, regardless if you liked the call or not. It was an exciting finish. Penalty shot because a player covered the puck in the goaltender's crease. And it just so happened to be Andover's best player. It was Gavin Thorson on the breakaway.
Really?
And he's going against Miles Gunderson. Miles Gunderson shuts the door. The building erupts. Win. One of the most exciting games that I've seen.
And all the Rapids guys had run out to Gunderson when the original horn sounded. You know, they were already celebrating. You know, game
they were
over.
On the ice already. Yep, they were on the ice thinking that it was over, celebrating, and the referee's got his hands up like this, going penalty shot, penalty shot. Everybody's like, what's going on? And then, just wait a second. Let's see if Miles can shut the door. And Miles shut the door. It was awesome.
Yeah. So, 2-1 win for Rapids, 32-21 were the shots in GR's favor. You know who was a beast in this game? Who I'm going to go and say who won the game for Rapids was that third line, especially Mortensen. Even Anke coming back was big. But in the pregame, I was into the KOZY boys, and they'd interviewed, of course, Coach Chido, and Coach said, we need to be physical. And Mortensen, he played the most physical game I think I've ever seen him play. I mean, it seemed like it looked like a big hit like every shift. So that third line definitely came to play for Rapids.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're 100% spot on. I just, on my way up here from practice tonight to do the podcast, I was walking out to my truck with Blaine Mortensen. He was walking right next to me, and I said, so what do you think? And he said, that game on Tuesday night was fun. And he said, we got to continue to play that way. And I said, Blainer, your line made our team's energy. And I said, they fed off you guys. I said, if our third line can play that way the rest of the way, I said, the sky is the limit. You guys, there's nothing you can't do if you play that way. If you play physical, if you finish checks, if you play great structure like you did and play with an attitude and an edge, I don't think there's any other third line in the state that plays that way. They were tough. And you said it, they made the game. The second line played one of their best games that they played with the DeMars, Sturl, and Kerr line. And the top line had scored a goal during the game too. That was the line that ended up getting the go-ahead goal. The GWG went to Caden Nelson. So on the back end, I think, quite honestly, that's one of the best games that I've seen in the last 2 years that I've seen Will Stauffer play on the back end. He was fantastic. Miles Gunderson, what can you say? I mean, it was summarized by stopping the final play of the game on a penalty shot as to how well he played. He played pretty good. Pretty darn good. Yeah. So it was fun, and it sets the table for anybody that is watching Section 7. I think everybody's expectation is it should be those two teams in the section finals, but that's why you play the games.
That's why you play the games. That's right. And we should remind our listeners that Andover in most of the polls was number one going into this game. Now, I haven't looked at any of the polls. I don't know when they come out. Maybe that'll be next week. But so anyway, big win for Rapids, big section win, big win for the rankings. And like I said, sending a message for 7AA down the road here, which like I said, likely these two will be squaring off in less than a month. All right. More on that.
No, I think that's a good way to sum up Section 7 AA, but you had some interesting information that you wanted to talk to with some Section 7 single A hockey.
Yeah. Yeah. So I caught the Hibbing Falls game. Hibbing ends up being blown out 7-1, gets into running time. Hibbing outshoots them 44-12. But and this is, you notice this in all these kind of games, but the game's clearly over and things kind of start to get rough, and I don't like it. And I was going to ask you, because if you ever, as a coach, ever, just all of a sudden you see your team, they're getting blown out. Well, I read you were the coach. Your team's never got blown out, but we'll talk about the other team.
Yes, they have.
But just that, it's high school hockey. These are high school age kids. If you ever just, whether it was Bantams or high school, called a timeout and said, listen, guys, stop the gooning up. The game is over. If you're really that angry, put your energy into go score a goal, dump the puck, whatever. But let's not almost embarrass ourselves at the end here with just some foolish play.
Yeah, there's been times I've been really fortunate in 18 years of coaching hockey, whether that be, boys high school or girls high school or coaching Bantam hockey. It's been 18 years of doing this. And out of those years, I've really only had maybe one or two times where I've had to say, you guys are embarrassing yourself and we need to stop and refocus our energy. That it happens from time to time, but quite honestly, and I don't mean this as a dig to anybody that coaches hockey. I've got the utmost respect for anybody, but what I did learn from my experiences is, the times that has happened to me before was I reflected and figured that I think my leadership was off. I felt like I was directing people with my energy going in another direction instead of, we've all heard the phrase attitude reflects leadership. Well, what better leader to your team than the guy that stands on the bench in the middle that runs your program? If you're the coach that's back there, that's barking and screaming and hollering at the referees, and that's all you hear is negative things coming out of your mouth the whole entire time, then what do you expect from your players that are sitting right next to you? You have to be representative of the role model for those people. And if that's the expectation, that's what you're going to get. So if you're directing the energy to your players, if you're directing them to do the right things, it's habit that starts to come. And I remember the time that I'm talking about was a time, it was my very first year coaching high school hockey. I remember coaching in Wilmer in 2005, and we're in the first round of the playoffs against Sauk Center at their barn. And at this point in the season, I'm 26 years old. This is my first year coaching. I had lost the team 2 weeks before that. I didn't have no idea what I was doing. No idea how to control a group of teenagers. They got crazy at the end of the game and started running guys. They knew their season was over. They didn't care. I had lost them 3 weeks before that. And I think coaches need to realize the direction the team is going. And if they need to recharge things, sometimes that happens. And you need to focus and get guys reeled back in. So yeah, there's times. Sometimes it's the kids that are the issue, and you need to be the leader to be able to figure out a way.
Yeah. And I'm not pointing to Falls, in this example, I was watching the Fall, but I mean, you've seen it everywhere. We've seen it for years, it was something I kind of wanted to bring up here because it just, like I said, in this case it was running time, but if it wasn't, say it was a 4-goal game with 3 minutes to go, you're probably not going to score 4 goals, but then just slows the game down. It just, like I said, NHL, junior hockey, you're sending a message that's different. There's no such thing as really sending a message in high school.
Well, this is education. This is education-based sports. Okay. And you look at it, college hockey is basically pay to play. If you're talking, or getting paid to play, if you're playing Division I, you're getting a scholarship that's worth a couple $100,000 over the course of a few years. So there's something different. It's more of a business. Okay. If you're playing junior hockey, that's a business. They're going to tell guys to go out there and start blasting people through the boards. But when we teach education-based activities, yeah, we're competitive. We want to win games. We want to have high performance and good competition, but we also want to learn life lessons from what we're doing. That's the whole goal of what we do. That's the whole purpose of what we do.
Right. All right, very well said. Anything else on that subject?
Nope.
All right, let's move on to Iron Range Apparel in the Thunderbird Mall, Virginia, Minnesota. Exclusively, you can find the ODR line there at Iron Range Apparel. All kinds of swag. The Richters are great people. Their son is the 17-year-old that founded ODR, Outdoor Rink Hockey, is kind of what it's short for. So you can find hats, caps, sweatshirts, t-shirts, jerseys there. I've talked to about lumberjack hats there. Lumberjack fleeces are kind of coming back in style. I've seen some of those. They have car window scrapers, like I said, snowing all day today, made out of broken hockey sticks. So those are pretty cool. So get over to Iron Range Apparel. It's gift buyer's paradise. You can find something for everybody. Like I said, all kinds of Minnesota themed mugs and shot glasses and cups and just everything. So get over to Iron Range Apparel in the Thunderbird Mall and tell them the Tea with Ms McGill Show sent you. All right, we were just talking a little bit about roughness, and I guess the term you would use, melee. Big game last night down in Duluth. Denfeld, Duluth East.
Yeah, Duluth East took the tumble. I believe, if I'm wrong on the year, I'm probably only wrong by 1 year, one direction or the other. I think the last time that Denfeld had beaten Duluth East was 2013. It's been a while. Going back in time, it's been years of domination. They still had to play each other back in the Mike Randolph years. That was probably the only single A team that Randolph would play at the time. Well, now things are a little different. With COVID last year, they had to play some other single A teams in order to get some games on their schedule. Now they've got new coaching staff, so that isn't necessarily there anymore, but they still have that competition between schools in the Duluth Public Schools, between East and Denfeld, East Side versus West Side. It's been there. It's been a rivalry for years, but it's been dominated by Duluth East for 20 some odd years, 30 some odd years. It's been And this is the first time Denfeld has beat them, and they won 6-2. But what was really interesting about it is East versus West, Duluth battle, Denfeld versus East. It turned into a little bit of, like we use the word melee at the end of the game. It lost composure. Players were getting ejected from the games. We had players with 5-minute majors for boarding and 10-minute misconducts. We had players that are getting ejected with a major for fighting in high school hockey.
Yeah.
So this turned into a game where discipline became an issue. It sounded like there were some words exchanged. I won't name names, but between the two staffs, I don't know what was said, so I won't pretend. But emotions ran high. Composure was lost on both sides. It seemed to me, by looking at the penalty minutes in this game from last night, that maybe loss of composure was a little bit more on the Duluth East side. Duluth East ended the game with 14 infractions for 53 minutes of penalties. Denfeld had 5 infractions for 10 minutes of penalties. So that's a normal game, but the 53 minutes with 14 infractions, 2 5-minute majors, a 10-minute misconduct for boarding, and a game injection for fighting, that is talking about maybe we've got to look at the frustrations that took place. And it's been a tough year. I mean, we want to talk about Duluth East and how it's been a struggle to try and set that new culture. It's been a tough year. It's been up and down. So I'm sure frustrations are there, and they are kids. We won't say that they're kids. This is a teachable moment, and here's a perfect opportunity for the Duluth East coaching staff and Steve Patosha to utilize this teachable moment before going into playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, congrats to Denfeld. Yeah. Big win. Like I said, it's been 30 years or so where, East has definitely had the upper hand there. All right. While you were observing the Andover Rapids game, I was also observing it, but I had 2 games on. I also had the Hibbing Greenway game on. Greenway comes out with a 3-0 win. 44 shots put on by Hibbing, 0 goals. Reed. And we talked in our preseason show where Hibbing, the one weakness that we thought they might have is there isn't really that guy that's going to get them 20 or 25, and so another thing I noticed, shot 44-25 were the shots. So 69 shots in a high school game. Is that on the heavy side?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That was another observation I had. But obviously, real big night for Nathan Jurgensen, the netminder for Greenway.
Yeah. And you know what, that we did talk about just specifically, what do some of the teams have for strengths in the area and weaknesses in the area. And you mentioned that, Hibbing doesn't necessarily have that 25 goal scorer. So their weakness is probably on the front end, putting pucks in the net. Well, the formula to that is with Greenway is their strength is in their goaltending. They've got Jurgensen and G.O.A.T, both great goaltenders. Both of them played the HP High Performance Spring Tournament last year, both worthy to play in it. They were tough. And obviously it made a difference. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this game took place in the Snake Pit this time, which we all know is a very hostile place to play when you're the away team, especially when Greenway has starting to play on the better end of their season. They're starting to do some good things. More fans are coming out of the bars, the locker room, everything else. They're ready to roll into the Snake Pit and watch some high school hockey. So the Snake Pit gets full pretty quick when they're having a good year, and it's tough to play there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've won games there, but didn't win all my games there. That's for sure. So congratulations, Greenway. All right. Friday, I wanted to mention this. I went to the Hibbing High School Auditorium. Some of you may have heard about the documentary Hockeyland. It covered the Eveleth, Mesabi East, Gilbert season 2 years ago when Coach Terrell was still the coach. And I actually went to the event with Coach Terrell. And it also followed the Hermantown team from 2 years ago, the year they had Blake Biondi, who ended up going on and winning Mr. Hockey. They got second in state that year. They kind of concentrated on four storylines, 4 people: Elliot Van Orsdal, Will Troutwine, Indy O'Dowd, and then the aforementioned Blake Biondi. But about an hour and a half, really good. Now they're going to be, they did some premieres in Duluth last week, and then Friday night in Hibbing, and then they're going to try and get this sold to like a Netflix or some streaming service. And they had a reception at Boomtown after. So I was talking with TJ Haynes, who put the whole thing together. And he said he's hoping to, I think, get it out in the fall is kind of what it sounds like. So Hockeyland, it's the documentary. I was confused because remember they're filming the movie with The Way of the Warrior. So I was thinking it was something with the movie. It's completely separate. It has nothing to do with the movie. The movie's still on hold. That was also being filmed in Evelyn. So this is just a documentary on the 1920 season. So for both Hermantown and Evelyn. So if you get a chance to check that out down the road, I highly recommend it. All right. So if you like what you heard so far, please strike that thumbs up button, or even better yet, share. Who is hungry? Talking about food. It's time to go back to Evelyn to the Rink Sports Bar and Grill, who is now serving breakfast just down from the Hockey Hall of Fame. Full menu, full bar, Friday fish fries. Like I said, Lent is coming soon, so keep that in your back of your mind that your place to go for your Friday fish fry will be the Rink Sports Bar and Grill. You can order online, therinksportsbarandgrill.com, or give them a buzz, 248-8582. All right, time to do some previewing here, Reed. I'm going to kick this one off. Tomorrow night, Friday night, Rock Ridge, the 10-10 Rock Ridge Wolverines will be at the 14-7-1 Proctor Rails. And talking with an assistant coach in the area here, he thinks that game is going to decide the number 3 seed for 7 single A coming up here. Rock Ridge last game was a 5-1 loss to Hermantown. Proctor's coming off a 6-2 win over Princeton. Coach Johnson was also at the Hockeyland documentary. So I did talk to him at the get together at Boomtown after, and he said kind of likes the way things are coming together for his team. And of course, we've discussed many times, Kangas is probably going to be the key down the stretch here.
Yeah, I think he is. I actually had a really nice conversation with Coach Ben Johnson, not this Monday, but the previous Monday. I was over there to call the game, the Rock Ridge game with him in International Falls, and I had a chance to visit with he and Coach Colby in the coach's office afterwards, and he said the same thing. He said things are starting to line up well. That was just after they had beat Denfeld, big win. Really liking the way his team is playing, really liking how the goaltending is going. He had a rough start to the year, and starting to settle in with that position in mind and the confidence that he needs to make a run. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think this Proctor game, it could definitely consider the 3 seed. I know that obviously Rock Ridge has got a little bit of a headpiece on that because they beat Denfeld, but you still look at head to head. I still think even the season that Denfeld has had, they probably still have the 2 seed. However, I have heard people say that since that win from Denfeld, if Rock Ridge finds a way to win out, they may get that 2 seed. Obviously, they didn't beat Hermantown.
Oh, wow.
I don't think anybody expected them to beat Hermantown except anybody that lives in the Virginia Evelyn area. But people have said they if they can win out all those games but the Hermantown, they could be looking at the 2 seed. But if they don't win over Proctor, then they could be the 4 seed.
Oh, and like I said, I watched Proctor was it last week? I think it was Monday of last week. And like I said, they came up, showed a lot. They were flat in the first period. They came back and showed a lot of fight and scored those late goals and won that game. Although they did lay an egg, then the next couple nights later, they went to Superior and laid an egg. So, but that, that's kind of high school sports a little bit, but
It happens.
so yeah, it happens. All right. You wanted to preview, boy, Rapid schedule just doesn't get any easier as you guys keep going through the month of February.
Well, we talk about that. We go through these, and I talk to a lot of people that watch the show and say, geez, Reed, every week that you're previewing a Rapids game. Well, I tried to find one that was going to be a different game that people would be excited about. That was a AA game in the area, or a AA team playing somebody that was really good other than Rapids. And I guess I couldn't find one that was bigger than Rapids Hermantown next Tuesday. We do play tomorrow. We play St. Thomas Academy, and no one is looking past that. That's going to be a big game. But if we're talking about area teams right now, the one that people are looking forward to is Tuesday, February 15th at the IRA Civic Center. We'll have that on My 9. Bob and I will be calling that one. That's Grand Rapids and Hermantown. Probably the most anticipated game of the year. For people out of the Hermantown area, they're thinking we can play with anybody in AA hockey. Why not the other team in the area that people consider being the top team up in the north? Well, these 2 teams have matched up against each other for a number of years through Pee-wees and Bantams. It's always been a battle. Now at the high school level, it's going to be fun to see these 2 teams play. Things are shaping up. You've got guys that are playing really good hockey for Rapids. You got a goaltender that's hot at Grand Rapids. You've got a third line that's pumping at Grand Rapids. On the flip side, at Hermantown, things just never slow down. I mean, Zamplant has probably played half the games, but has still got like 47 points, sitting in that range somewhere. His little brother is leading the team in assists, I think, or close to it. Max. They've got a goaltender in Garen Upsall that just set a record for the most shutouts in a season, or the most consecutive shutouts in a season. I think 6 in a row. So they've got good things going on both ends, and it just sets the table. Obviously, this game matters for bragging rights in the area, for Northern Minnesota hockey. It matters for who's the best in the area, but ultimately it doesn't matter for section seedings. It might for Hermantown, but they're already the 1 seed anyway. Section 7 AA doesn't have a voting process. There's a QRF, and the way the QRF algorithm works is really weird, but it doesn't really bode in a AA's team's favor to play a single A team unless you win them. It really hurts if you lose, because they're a single A versus a AA. You're expected to beat them.
Yep.
And of course we know how good they are. So it is one of those games where Rapids has to beat them. Hermantown doesn't have to, but they want to. But Rapids has to. Otherwise, they will drop in the QRF. I don't think they'll drop far enough to go to a 3 seed. They're sitting at a pretty comfortable 2. But Andover, even with the win over Andover on Tuesday, Andover is still in the lead in that QRF. So,
all right. Well, yeah. Back, and that's in Rapids?
yes.
Okay. In Rapids on Tuesday night. All right. A word for Minnesota hockey camps.
Minnesota hockey camps, the camp where the pros go. Got my hat on here today. Minnesota Hockey Camps is located in Breezy Point, Minnesota. Puka's wearing his as well. Located in Breezy Point, Minnesota. MinnesotaHockeyCamps.com. They're already starting to fill camps up for the summer. If you're looking for a good skill camp, on ice twice a day, dry land once a day, classroom once a day. You get a chance to stay in the dorms, catered by Mossieri Restaurants. Cross Lake, they cater food into the dorms that are there. It's a fantastic atmosphere for kids for skill development in the summertime. As young as squirts all the way up to professional players that are there. It's great to have kids that want to get better, work on skill development. It's really easy for people to say, I want to spend $2,000 or $3,000 a summer playing for this AAA team or that AAA team. Instead, some people are choosing to focus on spending their money on skill development, going to camps, learning to get better as a player, skills, and doing that at the camp where the pros go.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Some scores to catch us up from last week. Greenway took care of Crookston 5-3. Red Lake Falls ran over International Falls 7-1. Ty Kennett, the Giddy Up Award this week. If you guys don't know who Ty Kennett is, he's been the leading scorer in the state basically the whole season. He's got 79 points, but another 5-point night against International Falls for the youngster from Red Lake Falls. Warroad 6-3 over East Grand Forks. Roseau skated past Thief River 8-2. The game I previewed last week, Northern Lakes with a big 4-2 win over Cambridge Isanti. Cambridge Isanti 15-1-1 in their last 17 heading into that game. So still, 15-2-1. So still a good year for Cambridge Isanti, but
big win for my brother and his boys there. Big win for my brother and his boys at Northern Lakes. I know that was highly anticipated game. We spoke on the phone just before that game, and he mentioned, he said, "Oh, it sounds like Puka was giving us a shout out on the Tea with Ms McGill as our preview game." And he said, that is going to be a big one for us and for them. So good for them. Northern Lakes, good for another area team that supports us. Obviously we've added them to our list of teams we want to watch because we've got sponsors coming out of that area. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We do appreciate all you do, and congrats, Northern Lakes, big win. Rock Ridge fell to Sartell Saturday 3-1. North Shore got by Ely 4-2. The Spuds buried Bemidji 7-4. And we spoke a little bit about Duluth East. So East won in overtime over Cloquet 4-3. Noah Tang scored with 15.7 seconds to go in Cloquet to get the victory. And Cake Eater update. We actually have a fan, 1974. Edina grad got a hold of me. He's known as Walleye Scott. So Walleye Scott, here it is. I'll give you a few seconds of fame here. Over the week, the Cake Eaters beat Hill Murray 3-1. So I guess it was Cake Eaters, basically beating other Cake Eaters. But
they would call it Cake Eaters beating Daddy's money.
Oh, there you go. Okay. There you go. So yeah, 3-1 win for Edina over Hill Murray last week. All right. That should pretty much conclude. Anything else?
No, just look forward to another week. Like we said at the beginning, we're ramping up in high school hockey right now. Teams are anywhere from 2 games to 3 games remaining in the regular season, starting to knock on the door as to what their seed is going to look like come that second to last week in February. Teams should be playing their best hockey. Coaches should be excited. Players should be excited. I've got my playoff beard going. This baby's not going to be trimmed at all whatsoever until hopefully after the second weekend in March.
There you go. Yeah, you're looking good. All right, awesome. Well, good luck to your squad and the varsity squad. Please comment on the show and anything we talked about today. Feel free. We like hearing your comments. If you want to contact us more privately, Goatsportsmediallc at gmail.com. Like I said, if you dig the show, please share it out. Give us a like, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Big thanks, as always, to our partners. Again, here's the K-Cup, Blue Line Brews, the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, Iron Range Apparel, Minnesota Hockey Camps, Iron Range Goalie Academy. And remember, we'll have this link also in the show notes. C4 got a hold of us to remind you, brand new drink out there, C4 Skittles flavor. So go ahead and click the link and you can order online right there. We are now on Rumble. So if you're a Rumbler, you can check us out. Goat Sports is where you'll find us, all one word, Goat Sports on Rumble.
We are on Instagram too. Tea with
Miss
McGill. We are on Instagram too. Tea with Ms McGill.
Oh, better yet. Okay. I got to check that out. Gonna write that down. All right, perfect. For Reed Larson, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the Tea with Ms McGill Show.